Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome. It's good to see you guys. Welcome to our Tuesday edition of Superfudge. I'm going to read chapters 3 and 4 tonight and find out a little bit more about Superfudge and Peter. Excuse me. We'll wait till a few more people get on here. Hello. And hi. It's good to see you guys. Like I said, we are going to continue reading Superfudge by Judy Blume. And this is kind of a, in the series with a book that we read, back in April called Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. So this kind of picks up, in that one, of course, Peter was in 4th grade, and his brother Fudge was, I think, like a year or 2 years old. And in this one, Peter is now in 5th grade. Fudge is 4, and they have just had, what did they just have? What do they have now in their household? It's pretty new. Do you guys remember? Yep, a little baby. They have a baby sister now. Who remembers what they're calling her? Do you guys remember what her kind of like her little nickname was? Right, Tootsie. Yeah. So you got Tootsie and Fudge and Peter. And Peter didn't end up with the name of a candy, did he? Just his regular name. All right, guys. So here we go. We are going to start with chapter 3 of Judy Blume's Superfudge. And like I said last night, this book is read with permission from Yearling Books, and they are a part of Random House Books. So here we go. Chapter 3, Another Something Wonderful. Life at our house had definitely changed. Dad would come home at night with an armful of grocery bags and fix our dinner. The washing machine was always running. Every time Tootsie had a feeding and was burped, she'd spit up. She had to be changed about 6 times a day. Fudge started wetting his pants again, and then his bed. Mom and Dad said he was just going through a phase, and that if we were, excuse me, and that if we were patient, it would pass. I suggested putting him in diapers, but nobody else thought that was a very good idea. One afternoon, Mom started to cry, right in front of me. "What's wrong?" I asked. "I'm just so tired," she said. "There's so much to do. Sometimes I think I won't be able to make it through the week." "That's what you get for having another baby," I told her. That only made her cry harder. I don't like to see my mother cry. I feel sorry for her, but at the same time, she makes me angry. Grandma came over a few days a week to help, and Mom hired Libby Tubman to take care of Fudge after school. I stayed at Jimmy Fargo's until dinner time. Nobody seemed to miss me around the house anyway. By the middle of May, life had improved. Tootsie was sleeping 4 hours at a clip during the day, and even longer at night. Dad and Mom were fixing dinner together, and Mom talked about going back to college to get a degree in art history, which surprised me, because before I was born, she was a dental assistant. "Why art history?" I asked. "Because it interests me," she said. "What about teeth? Aren't you interested in teeth anymore?" "Well, yes," Mom said, "but not as much as art history. I think I'm ready for a change." "Isn't having a Tootsie enough of a change?" "Yes, but someday she'll grow up and go to school, and I'll want to have a career." "Oh," I said, not sure I really understood. On the last day of school, we had a class party with cupcakes and island punch. I drank 8 cups of it. Island punch is my favorite drink. Mom says I'm addicted to it. And I tell her, that's right, if you cut me open, you'll find 7 natural fruit flavors running through my veins. After drinking 8 cups in a row, then riding home on the bus, then walking to my building, then waiting for the elevator, then dashing down the hall to our apartment, then digging out the key and unlocking the door, I really had to use the bathroom. And I mean really. But Fudge was already in there, sitting on the toilet, turning the pages of Arthur the Anteater. "Hurry up," I told him. "I've got to go." "It's not good for me to hurry," Fudge said. So I ran to Mom's room, but the door to her bathroom was locked. "Mom," I called, banging on the door. "Can't hear you," she called back, the showers running. "I'll be out in 5 minutes. Check on Tootsie, would you?" So I ran back to the bathroom, but Fudge hadn't moved. "Come on," I said. "This is an emergency. I drank 8 cups of Island Punch this afternoon. I drank 2 glasses of Choco. How about getting off for just a minute?" "It wouldn't be good for me," he said. "Come on, Fudge." "I can't think when you're in here," he said. "What do you have to think about?" "Making." I could have lifted him off, but now that he's stopped wetting, we're all supposed to encourage him to use the toilet. So I ran down the hall again, thinking Tootsie had it easy. She just lets it out whenever and wherever. Then I remembered that my teacher had read us a book about life in England in the 18th century. People used chamber pots instead of toilets way back then. I wished we had an old chamber pot handy. I was getting desperate. I ran into the living room and looked around. We have a big plant over in the corner. It stands more than 5 feet high. Should I? I wondered. No, that's disgusting, I thought. But when you've got to go, you've got to go. I reminded myself. I loosened my belt buckle. As I did, Fudge called, "Okay, Peter, I'm done. You do the flush." Fudge refuses to flush the toilet. He's afraid he'll go down the drain too. But this wasn't the time to try to convince him he was wrong. I raced down the hall and relieved myself. Fudge watched. He was really impressed. "I never saw so much at once," he said. "Thanks," I told him. That night we were all sitting around in the living room watching TV. I was holding Tootsie on my lap. She let out a soft little sigh. She's a lot like Turtle when he sleeps. I can tell what kind of dream he's having by the noises he makes. And sometimes when he's having a nightmare, he cries out and shakes. Then I pet him until he's calm again. It's the same with Tootsie. She'll be fast asleep, but she'll make these little noises or cry out and wiggle around. Other times, she'll work her mouth just like she's sucking on her bottle. I guess she dreams about eating a lot, but the little sighs are my favorite because then I know she's content. And she feels so warm and soft lying in my arms that way, and that I feel good all over. As soon as the show was over, Dad snapped off the TV, turned to face us, and said, "We have some really good news for you boys." "Oh no, not again," I said, looking down at Tootsie. Mom and Dad laughed. "Something different this time," Dad said. "Is it interesting?" Fudge said, racing his little car across the floor. "Vroom, vroom, vroom." "Yes, very interesting," Mom said. "Well, don't keep us in suspense," I said. "Let's hear it." "Is suspense like privilege?" Fudge asked. "No," I told him. "Now, shut up and listen." I looked at my father. "Well?" I asked, because their idea of something interesting was my idea of something, and my idea of something interesting weren't necessarily the same. "We're moving to Princeton," Dad said. "We're what?" I wanted to jump up, but I couldn't, not with Tootsie on my lap. "Is Princeton near the park?" Fudge asked, running his little red car up and down Mom's leg. "No," I said, "it's in New Jersey." "Is New Jersey near the park?" he asked. "Not Central Park," Mom said. "But you won't need Central Park," Dad said, "because you'll have your own backyard." "What's a backyard?" Fudge asked. It's like a small park," Mom told him. "My own park?" Fudge asked. "More or less," Dad said, to shut him up. "What about art history?" I said to Mom. "What about it?" she answered. "I thought you were going to go back to school to study art history." "Princeton University has an art history department. I may take classes there." "It's just for a year," Dad said, looking at me, "to see how we will like being away from the city." "Away, away, away," Fudge sang. You can't have a conversation in front of him. It's useless. Couldn't my mother and father see that? "We're going next week," Dad said. "What about Maine?" I asked. We always go to Maine for 2 weeks in the summer. M-A-I-N-E spells Maine, Fudge sang. M-A-I-N-E. How does he know how to spell Maine? Mom asked Dad. I have no idea, Dad said. So what about it? I pressed. Are we going to Maine? We're going to Princeton instead, Dad told me. Instead, Fudge babbled. Shut up, I yelled at him. And then I said, just as loud, I hate Princeton. You've never even been there, Mom said. Oh, yes, I have. We went to visit some dumb friends of yours, and they served us this disgusting dinner. Shrimp and mushrooms and spinach all mixed together. And I was hungry, but they wouldn't give me anything else to eat, not even an extra piece of bread. I remember. Oh, that's right, Mom said. I'd forgotten all about that day at Millie and George's house. You forget everything that's important. Look, Peter, Dad said, we were hoping you would be pleased about Princeton. We've already rented the house there. In fact, we've rented Millie and George's house. They're going to Europe for a year. That old dump? It's not a dump. It's a beautiful old place, and we've arranged to sublet our apartment. So I'd like you to keep an open mind about this. Open, 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 Fudge sang. You should have told me before. Just like you should have told me about Tootsie as soon as you knew. You never tell me anything. And here, I said, shoving Tootsie at Dad, why don't you hold your stupid baby yourself? Because I have things to do. I got up and marched across the living room, kicking a couple of Fudge's cars as I went by. By the time I got to my room, he was crying. Good, I thought. And then Tootsie started. Better yet. And then Turtle began to bark. Let them suffer. I slammed my bedroom door, and my map wound up on my bed again. I guess I fell asleep in my clothes, because the next thing I knew, Mom was shaking me and saying, Come on, Peter, get undressed and under the covers. It's late. It's too hot for covers, I mumbled. Okay, if you want to sleep in your clothes tonight, you can, but at least take off your sneakers. Like them where they are, I said sleepily. Okay, if you want to sleep in your sneakers, just for tonight. Maybe every night. Mom ignored that. Peter, about Princeton, she began. I held up my hand. Don't want to talk about it. You don't have to talk. Just listen. Too tired to listen. All right, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Anyway, nothing I can do about it. Just like Tootsie. Nothing I could do about her either. But you don't mind her now, do you? Getting used to her. And you'll get used to Princeton too. You'll see. Then she started telling me about where I'd go to school. But I was still half asleep and not really listening until she said something like, having your little brother in the same school. And I sat up, suddenly wide awake. What did you say? About what? Just now, about Fudge in school. Oh, we've had him tested. And even though he's a little young, we're going to be able to enroll him in kindergarten. After all, he's had a full year of nursery school, and you know he can count by tens and recite the alphabet, and he knows his months and days of the week and colors, and he can even spell Maine. Yeah, I said. We all know the kid's a genius. But you said something else about him going to the same school as me? That's right. You'll be in 6th grade, and he will be in kindergarten. Won't that be fun? Fun! That did it. I jumped off the bed and grabbed my Adidas bag. You think it's going to be fun to be in a new school? I don't know anybody there. And I definitely don't want to go to school with that little monster. You don't understand anything, do you? I opened my dresser drawers and dumped my clothes into the bag. This time, I'm really leaving. Peter, honey, Mom said. Sorry. You can't run away every time you hear something you think you don't like. I don't think it. I know it. Even so, running away doesn't solve anything. Maybe not for you, but it does for me. I tossed in my baseball glove, my favorite pair of jeans, half of my Mad magazines, a few of my smaller maps, and a couple of tapes. Shall I make you a peanut butter sandwich to take along? Mom asked, smiling. Don't give me any of that little boy stuff, I told her, because I mean it. I'm leaving. She stopped smiling. I can understand how you feel, but Daddy and I thought, Daddy and you don't think the same way as me. I'm beginning to see that. And if you cared about me at all, even just a little bit, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't have. Peter, we care about you a lot. That's one of the reasons for moving to Princeton. And we didn't even get to tell you the really big news. Oh, there's more? I said. Well, I can't wait to hear it. Daddy is taking the year off. I stopped packing. He quit his job at the agency? No. He's been fired? No. Then what? He's taking a leave of absence. Wait, he wants to tell you himself. She went to my door and called, Warren, Warren, can you come in here? I'm changing Tootsie, Dad called back. Be there in just a minute. I thought Dad never changed a diaper in his life. He didn't, not until Tootsie came along. What's so special about changing her diapers? I asked. Nothing. It's just that Dad realizes he missed out on some of your baby experiences, and he doesn't want to make the same mistake again. He's so busy changing Tootsie, he hasn't got time for anybody else. Peter, that's not fair, Mom said. What do you know about fair? Dad came into my room, smelling like baby lotion. I told Peter you have a surprise for him, Mom said. I'm taking the year off, Dad said, and that way I'll have more time to spend with the family because I'll be working at home. I'm going to write a book. A book? I said. That's right, on the history of advertising and its effects on the American people. Couldn't you write something more interesting? I asked, like a book about a kid who runs away because his parents decide to move without asking him first. Sounds like a good story, Dad said. Maybe you should write it yourself. Maybe I will, I said, and I'd like to know how we're going to eat with you not working. We've got some money saved, and I'll probably get an advance for writing the book. Give it a chance, Peter, said Mom. I'll think about it, I told her, but if I'm gone in the morning, don't be surprised. And then, from the other room, we could hear Fudge singing himself to sleep. M-A-I-N-E spells Maine, F-U-D-G-E spells Fudgy, P-E-T-E-R spells Pita, B-E-E-R spells whiskey. Will you listen to that? I said. That kid should be a big hit in kindergarten. Chapter 4. This is off the wall. I told Jimmy Fargo about Princeton. You're moving? He asked. Like he couldn't believe it. Not exactly, I answered. We're just doing it for a year. You're moving, he said. I can't believe it. Neither can I. You don't have to move, he said. You could stay here if you really wanted to. You think I don't want to stay? I don't know anybody in Princeton. You think I want to go to some school where I don't have any friends? Then tell your mother and father you refuse to go. That's what I'd do. But where would I live? With me. But where would I sleep? On the floor, Jimmy said. It's good for your back to sleep on the floor. I thought about sleeping on the floor for a year and about living with Jimmy and his father. Mr. Fargo used to be an actor, but now he's a painter. He paints these weird-looking pictures of circles and triangles and squares. He's so absent-minded that he only buys food when Jimmy reminds him. One time I looked in the refrigerator, and all they had was an empty bottle of wine, a half of an apple, a salami, an onion sandwich, and it had turned green. If you don't stay, I'm never going to talk to you again, Jimmy said. I mean never. He bent down and tied his shoelace. Jimmy's laces were always undone. And I'm going to tell Sheila Tubman she can have your rock at the park, he added. You wouldn't. Try me. Some friend you're turning out to be. Same for you. Jimmy turned and walked away, his hands stuffed deep into his pockets. I thought of plenty more to say as soon as he was gone, but instead of running down the street after him, I went home. Is that you, Peter? Mom called. No. I went to my room and slammed my bedroom door. I was glad that I hadn't bothered to hang up my map of the world again. I took out my Krinskin's crystal. Jimmy gave it to me on my last birthday. When I can't fall asleep at night, I hold the chain above the lucite base and watch the small ball swing from side to side. I concentrate on it until my eyes get this heavy feeling and want to close. I open my window enough to throw out my Krinskin's crystal. I imagined it smashed into a zillion pieces on the sidewalk below. But suppose I had trouble falling asleep in Princeton. What would I do? I put it back in its box. There had to be a better way to get even with Jimmy Fargo. 2 hours later, I was still thinking up ways to get back at him when the doorbell rang, and it was Jimmy. Changed my mind, he said, and I'm sorry. Yeah, well, me too. I was disappointed, that's all. I don't want you to move, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's not your fault. Excuse me. That's what I was trying to tell you, I said. I know. Well, my father says Princeton is just an hour by train. That's right. So I won't give Sheila your rock after all. Thanks. She wouldn't know what to do with it anyway, I said. But I'm not going to use it until you come back. Okay, I won't use my Kritzkin's crystal until I get back either. Deal, Jimmy said, and we shook on it. The next morning, when I was going down to the elevator with Turtle, Henry said, I'm going to miss you and your family. Bet you won't miss Fudge, I said. Oh, yes, even that little devil, Henry said. I remember the day he got into my elevator and pushed all the buttons at once. Jammed up the works for 2 hours, Henry laughed. He sounded like a sea lion. I always expect him to slap his arms together when he laughs. And I'll miss that baby of yours, too. Won't get to see her grow up now. Sure you will, I told him. We're only going for a year. That's what they all say, Henry muttered. Outside, it was gray and humid. I wondered if the sun was shining in Princeton. As I walked Turtle down the street, he sniffed here and there, trying to find a place he liked. I encouraged him to use the curb. In Princeton, he'll be able to go wherever he likes. And I thought, maybe I won't even have to walk him. I'll just open the door and he'll run out into the yard. And I won't have to clean up after him either. Ever since New York City passed what I call the doggy-do law, walking Turtle hasn't been much fun. At first, when I heard that every dog owner had to clean up after his own dog, I told Mom that I wouldn't be able to walk Turtle anymore. Mom said, that's too bad, Peter, because if you don't walk him, who will? I was hoping Mom would volunteer. I was hoping she'd say, I know how grossed out you feel at the idea of picking up Turtle the dog do. But she didn't. Instead, she said, look, Peter, you're going to have to make a tough decision. If you want to keep Turtle, you're going to have to clean up after him. Otherwise, Daddy and I will try to find a nice farm somewhere in the country, and... I didn't wait for her to finish. Send Turtle to the farm? I shouted. Are you kidding? He's a city dog. He's my dog. Well then, Mom said, smiling. I got the point. Mom bought me a contraption called a pooper scooper. It's a kind of shovel attached to a baggie, and when Turtle does his thing, I scoop it up, get it into the bag, tie up the end, and toss it into the trash basket. At first, I made a mess of myself, trying to get it to work, but now I'm a regular expert. Still, it's pretty disgusting, almost as disgusting as Tootsie's diapers. I wish I could train Turtle to use the toilet, especially in the winter, when I stand around freezing while he takes his time, trying to make up his mind. I know it's not Turtle's fault. He can't help being a dog. And when he sleeps at the foot of my bed or licks my face, it's all worth it. Just as Turtle was finishing, Sheila Tubman came skipping up the street. I hear you're moving, she said. I nodded and scooped up his stuff. Good. I was afraid it was just a rumor. I can't wait till you're gone. Then I won't have to smell your yucky dog anymore. My dog is not yucky, I yelled, tying up the poop bag. Did you ever smell him, Peter? Yes, all the time. Well, I guess you don't notice because you smell so much like him yourself. She started skipping away. Hey, Sheila, I called. Yes, she turned around. Stuff it. Peter Hatcher, you are disgusting. That's better than what you are, I called, enjoying myself. Oh, yeah? What's that? She said. That's for me to know and for you to find out. Ha ha, very funny, she said. You and your yucky dog are both very funny. Sick her, Turtle, I said. Turtle growled and then started barking, which was very funny because he didn't know what sick her means. But Sheila didn't know that he didn't know, so she started screaming and running toward our building. And when Turtle saw her go crazy like that, he took off after her, barking up a storm, thinking it was some kind of game. He pulled his leash right out of my hand, so I had to chase him, calling, "Turtle, Turtle, down, boy," because he was already jumping up and down on Sheila, trying to lick her face. Sheila kept right on screaming. Finally, Henry came out and asked, "What's going on here?" He pulled Turtle off of Sheila and held him for me. I picked up the end of the leash and patted his head. "It's Peter Hatcher," Sheila said. "He told his dumb dog to sick me, and he did." "He did not," I said. "He did too." You don't even know what sick means," I said. "I certainly do." "Oh yeah? What?" I asked. It's like giving germs to a person," Sheila said. "The one he sicks gets sick too." I started laughing. "Did you hear that, Henry? Did you hear what she said?" "I heard," Henry said, "and I want you to keep your dog outside until he calms down." He turned to Sheila. "Come on, honey. I'll take you upstairs first." "I'm so glad he's moving," Sheila sniffed. "I hope he never comes back. There should be a law." I laughed all the way to the corner. I think Turtle did too. On the morning of the move, Mom woke me up at 6 o'clock. I still had to pack my carton of special things, but first I wanted some juice. I'm always thirsty first thing in the morning. On my way to the kitchen, I passed Tootsie's crib. She was watching her mobile and gurgling away. She was also covered with trading stamps. They were stuck to her arms, her legs, her belly, and her face. She even had one on the top of her head, and one pasted to the bottom of each foot. "Hey, Mom," I called. "What is it?" "It's Tootsie." But I didn't wait for her to finish. "Hurry up, Mom," I called. Mom raced in, buttoning up her skirt. "Oh, no," she said when she saw Tootsie. Then she shouted, "Fudge!" "Hello, Mommy," Fudge said, crawling out from under Tootsie's crib. He was wearing his disguise, black eyeglass frames attached to a rubber nose, with a stick on beard and mustache. He'd sent away for it months ago. It cost 4 cereal box tops and 25 cents. "Did you do this to Tootsie?" "Yes, Mom." He was using his best little boy in the world voice. "Why?" Mom asked. "Tootsie told me to." He climbed up the side of her crib and reached in, shaking Tootsie a little. "Didn't you tell me to, good girl, good little baby?" Tootsie said, "Ah," and she kicked her legs up in the air. "That was a very naughty thing to do," Mom told Fudge, "and I'm very angry at you." Fudge kissed my mother's hand. "I love you, Mommy." "That's not going to work today," Mom told him. "I love you anyway," he said, kissing her other hand. "You're the best Mommy in the whole world. Don't you love your little boy?" "Yes, I love you," she said, "but I am still very angry at you. Very." And she smacked Fudge on his backside. He pouted for a minute, about to cry, and then changed his mind. "Didn't hurt," he said. "You want one that will hurt?" Mom asked. "No." "Then don't you ever do anything like that again. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Hey, Mom," I said, "I thought you don't believe in violence." "I don't ordinarily," Mom said, "but sometimes I forget." "Look, it's okay with me if you want to spank Fudge," I said. "Personally, I think a spanking a day would be good for him." "No, no, no," Fudge shouted, holding his rear end. "Why'd you really do it?" I asked him. "I want to trade her in for a 2-wheeler, like yours," he told me. "You can't trade her in," Mom said. "She's a person. She's not a book of stamps." "She looks like a book of stamps," Fudge said. Mom picked up Tootsie. "Well, doesn't she?" Fudge asked again, and I could tell Mom was trying hard not to laugh. "You know something, Fudge?" I said. "You're off the wall. You are really off the wall." off the wall, he sang, dancing around Mom and Tootsie. Fudge is off the wall. Tootsie laughed. Either that or she hiccuped. It's hard to tell the difference. I followed Mom into the bathroom where she set Tootsie in the sink. 2 years of trading stamps down the drain, I said. Goodbye, stamps, Fudge called to the door in the doorway. Goodbye, goodbye. I'm not going to save stamps anymore, Mom said. I'm going to find a grocery store that gives away something else. An hour later, Dad came back with the U-Haul, and we loaded it, and we were on our way. As soon as we were through the Lincoln Tunnel, Fudge started singing. M-A-I-N-E spells Princeton. No, it doesn't, I said. It spells Maine. I know, Fudge said. I'm just making up a song. Maybe you should make it up in your head, Dad suggested, and sing it to us when we get to Princeton. Then it will be a surprise. A surprise? Fudge said. I like surprises. He was quiet for a minute, and then he said, You know what, Daddy? I'm off the wall. Who told you that? Dad asked. PETA, didn't you? He asked me. Yeah, I said. I sure did. And you sure are. I'm off the wall, Fudge repeated. Just like PETA's map of the world. He rested his head against Mom's shoulder, and I could hear him slurping away on his fingers. He was still wearing his disguise. All right, guys. That is the end of our 2 chapters for tonight. I'm so glad you guys were able to watch with us as we continue Judy Blume's Superfudge this week. Okay? And I will see you right back here on the library's Facebook page tomorrow night, beginning at 7. And we will continue with our book. We'll pick up with chapter 5 and read a couple more chapters tomorrow night. All right? Okay, guys, it was good to see you. And like I said, I will see you guys back here tomorrow night. All right, have a great night. Bye.